Good afternoon, Salt Lake City and further
everywhere
out
else
and everywhere else. You're listening to Shane and Scott here on Prepper Talk Radio here this Friday afternoon, and for me, it's a wonderful start of a weekend.
Oh yes,
I would say well deserved. I'm not going to say that, but very much looking forward to the weekend once again.
Long overdue.
Long overdue.
I can't believe I've waited 5 days for this. You know, the weekends are an awesome opportunity. I find it's a great time to kind of recharge and get projects done around the house, as well as get projects done for prepping. My wife and I have actually been working on our updating of our 72-hour kits. Now that we've got baby number 2 on the way, we're modifying some bags, simplifying, and I've found I'm streamlining quite a lot of things. Really cutting down on things that are more of the redundancies I'm eliminating. Mm-hmm. Because our plan is really more shelter in place than anything else.
And I think that's a natural progression of, we'll call it the 72-hour kit.
Yes.
Is if you're truly involved with your kit and you want to truly make it better and you're very interested in surviving, then you're going to take it a little more seriously and your bag is going to evolve and it's going to change. And then maybe what we're saying will make more sense to you if it doesn't right now. So. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So what we wanted to get into right away here this Friday afternoon is a follow-up on one of the first things we talked about this year, which is calling the year 2018 our year of opportunity.
Yes.
When I first thought about this, I wanted to give you all something positive, not something to worry about. For 2018 being an excellent opportunity to continue to prep, to continue to... Well,
I think to take a level of urgency about it.
There you go. Without
panic, a level of urgency, a level of let's move quicker, let's move more focused, and let's really try hard to make sure that we're really engaging what we're trying to accomplish. A lot of times it's been passive for a lot of preppers. A lot of time it's been passive for a lot of you listening that maybe wouldn't call yourself a prepper. You're just prepared, right? You're trying to be prepared. Whatever you want to call it, survivalist, prepper, off-grid, homesteading. Combining two. Whatever you want to call yourself and whatever your strategy is, we were hoping 2018 would be a great opportunity for you to really kind of buckle down a little bit.
Yeah, and
there's opportunity here.
I think what we've seen the past couple of years with Trump being elected is just a lot of people who become passive at prepping, which has really caused prices to come down on food storage, on really a lot of supplies that you would need to shelter in place. And Scott is playing around with my huge knife, So that was kind of the thought is, okay, the prepping community, the prepping retailers are kind of suffering a little bit. They're kind of depressed. And so, hey, let's take advantage. When prices are low, let's go ahead and start buying then. I mean, that's the idea is when something is undesirable, that's when you buy it.
Yeah, when stocks are high, diversify. When stocks are low, go. Just buy. Right? And the same thing in prepping, in preparedness. Right now, stocks are low. You should be buying like crazy because that's going to pay off tenfold later on down the line. Now, we're not...
Stocks as in stockpiling your food and such.
Food stocks.
Right. Food stocks, not
gear
actual stocks, not stock market.
Right.
Is what he's not referring to.
But you look at it the same way because everyone understands the stock market. Well, nobody understands the stock market, really. It's all
not nowadays.
It's all crazy, but... The philosophies of the stock market, people really understand the buy low, sell high.
Well, buy when there's blood in the streets, right?
Yeah, there you go.
And
but in prepping, that's too late.
No, you're absolutely right. But I think in the past couple of years, with the markets being depressed, it's been a really good time to stock up on things.
Oh, absolutely.
And so my advice is don't wait any longer. To wait for prices to go down lower because they're really not going to.
Nope.
In my opinion. So I think we've definitely hit a bottom in your pricing of food storage and water barrels and all that kind of stuff. I don't think we're going to see occasional sale here and there. Black Friday's coming up, so and I wanted to get a little bit into kind of the Christmas season already.
Yeah.
I really don't like to talk about it until December because Thanksgiving's coming up, and we're going to talk a little bit about Thanksgiving next week. things that preppers in particular are thankful for.
Should
we'll make
be thankful for, are thankful for,
Yes.
and could be thankful for. Right?
Absolutely. And so, but I think to get this season started, and I think we will eventually do a show about prepping Christmas items. Maybe we do that like last week of the month or something.
There you go.
But, I'm really focusing on doing handmade things, which I should have focused a little bit earlier this year. So I'm in a bit of a rush.
A lot of time
to do some more of these handmade things for Christmas. But so that's I guess my advice is get started and do some planning for what you're going to do for your significant others, your friends and family.
There you go.
And for me, I want to do something that's meaningful, and so I'm making things, which of course I can't say what I'm making. I would like to tell you, give you some hints and some tips, but I can't say, unfortunately, otherwise it's going to spoil the surprise.
That's quite all right. Now, when it comes to the whole world of preparedness, you really find out whether you're prepared or not when you get into the middle of the crap and you've got to deal with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I want to know how everyone did on the water challenge.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's kind of funny because I failed. Here we are, the hosts of a preparedness
and we've had 2
show.
weeks to do it.
We had 2 weeks to do it. My entire family got sick.
Mm-hmm.
And that threw a lot of
my
survival strategies out the window, because it's like, okay, you're going to just go off of a gallon of water a day or a gallon and a half a day.
When you're sick.
When you're sick, you bust through that pretty quick because you're trying to keep things clean, so you're having to clean more. So we went through a lot of Clorox wipes, which we've kind of transitioned to, but those are short-term solutions, not a long-term.
That's actually one thing that I did pick up as a result of my practicing these last couple of weeks, is some more of these wipes. Mm-hmm. And because there's a difference between washing and sanitizing, right?
Yes.
Just to let you kind of know who I am, what I do, this gallon challenge, I wouldn't say I've been doing this every day for the past 3-4 years, but I've been doing it almost every day for the past 3-4 years. In certain aspects and certain respects, right? I'm not limiting my shower to a gallon, right?
Right.
I'm not certain things like that, but I've been practicing and tweaking this in certain respects for at least a couple of years.
Well, and you don't have to shower every day.
No, absolutely.
Right. And have you ever tried to do a sponge bath?
Yes.
It's really quite interesting. It's really, really quite interesting.
And that's exactly what this challenge is about getting you into situations where you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Do you know how to give yourself a sponge bath?
So when I gave myself a sponge bath, we'll call it a washcloth bath because that was more accurate.
Yeah.
When I did a washcloth bath, I went through about a gallon and a half of water.
Okay.
I did a half a gallon with soapy water.
Okay.
And I use that to kind of scrub and squat in the tub, and just kind of scrub everything and get it done. But then to really rinse out my hair and everything else, it was quite a challenge. Yeah. I had to refill that twice.
And see, that's where, the women, they were going to have a bit more of a challenge, the rinsing side. And so, and that's one thing that, of course, I've found is that the washing part isn't the difficult part, right? To have enough water to get some soap and get some lather for your dishes or for your body or whatever. It's the rinsing side. And not only is it just, we're so used to just turning that tap on, wait until that water gets all hot. It's running full bore for a couple of minutes. You know how many gallons of water you're going through right there that we don't even think about every day.
Oh, yeah.
And I think with me being conscious about this the past couple of years, I take that faucet and I turn it down and I get it to where I can barely do dishes with just barely trickling water. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous if you were to watch me do dishes. It's just trickling, and I'm using the very least I can, and then I'm rinsing with the little water as I can, and I'm reusing that and recycling it. And then you got to figure out, okay, how do I sanitize? Because unless you're using hot water and lots of soap and lots of volume, you're not really going to be able to get those dishes sanitized like they would in a dishwasher with, I don't know how many gallons a dishwasher goes through. But it takes an hour to do dishes. It heats them up and it goes through a sanitizing process. And that's one thing my wife always does. She pushes that sanitize button on the dishwasher every time. And me, I'm like, I don't need that extra wasted time, But one thing that I always try and figure out a better method for is, okay, how can I rinse myself, my laundry, my dishes, the countertop, whatever. How can I rinse?
Please don't tell me you're washing your dishes and yourself at the same time.
Hey,
please
you got to
don't
be
tell
efficient. You got to be efficient.
Please don't tell me that.
So, if you're only stored a gallon of water per day, you've got to get really creative.
Well, you got
on how to
to
use that water.
you've got to simplify everything.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've learned. Okay, first of all, by the way, the question: how many gallons does a dishwasher use?
Mm-hmm.
The average is 6 gallons per cycle.
Okay, that's it.
The energy efficient is about 4 gallons per cycle.
Okay.
So,
but I know it does. They do recycle the water when it fills itself up with hot water. It heats it. It recycles it, reuses it in there, flushes it out, rinse the dishes, do the same thing, cycle that clean water through, and then boost up the temperature to sanitize.
Yes,
along with whatever.
But still, 6 gallons. That's
not a little bit when you're.
If you've got 6 people, that's all your water for the day.
So there's a lot of there's some of these diets out there to say, okay, you need to drink a gallon of water per day in order to flush everything out of your body. We know you can live on a lot less, and not just live, not just survive, but do quite well with drinking. Well, I don't know. You're supposed to drink, take your weight, and times it by at least your weight in ounces. Water per day. Half an ounce. From half an ounce to 1 ounce per pound of your own weight is what you should drink in ounces of water.
I've never been able to do that.
Drink
that
ounce,
much.
Drink that much. No, neither have I. 180 ounces.
It's been so much. That's so much water.
It is a lot of water. It takes a lot to get used to it. For those who drink water, you have to get accustomed to it, and then your body somehow gets used to it and uses that water efficiently. But
it makes me wonder. I'm like, how much do you really actually need? Because most everything we find that's like, a government handed down, like this is what you need every day.
Yep.
It's based on whoever paid the most money to get that recommendation passed by the government.
There you go, and somebody who thinks they're actually smarter than each of us for our own needs.
Yeah.
So what I found and is that obviously the longer you do this, the more difficult it becomes. Like the first day, okay, that's easy. I don't need to shower the first day, right? I just need to drink some water. Mm-hmm. I can eat some oatmeal in the morning. That takes like very little hot water, and I'll have eat sandwich for lunch or whatever for dinner. And it doesn't take much water your first day,
right?
But then as the dirty dishes pile up, as your dirty clothes pile up, as the kitchen gets dirtier, as the house gets dirtier, how much water are you going to need to do those processes?
Yep.
And so. That's kind of what the challenge was about. Okay, take it at the level that you can handle it.
Yep.
Do this one item first. Let's say, okay, that was easy. Okay, let's step it up. And if you haven't participated in the challenge, of course, feel free to do this anytime. Like I say, I've been doing this kind of off and on, and kind of at different varying levels for years now. It's become my mentality, scarcity mentality, right? As being the provider and having limited this and limited that, I hate to see things squandered and wasted, including water, even though we have plentiful, And I think one thing that really set me off this summer is that I had a leak in my stop and waste valve. So I got my water bill, and it was like $400. And of course, obviously, I knew there was an issue at that point. But then after that, trying to conserve enough water, wasting water on the grass, taking long showers, trying to get everybody to save water to maybe try and recoup some of that wasted money on the water bill and sewer bill has opened my eyes even a little bit more to conserving water. So there's our music. Thank you for joining us for this first segment. We'll continue on in the second segment here at Prepper Talk Radio on AM 1640 K-Talk. We sure appreciate you joining us. All right, welcome back to the show. We love our dance music and feel it's very appropriate for each of us.
Party.
I would like to learn to be a beatbox.
That's all I got.
That's about all I got, too. Well, thanks you for listening to us here on Prepper Talk Radio, and we hope that you'll connect with us on Facebook as well. We're also at preppertalkradio.com as well as ktalkmedia.com. And we're just going to continue our discussion about our gallon challenge. And one thing I think we really wanted to focus on at this point is we talked a little bit about the difference between washing and sanitizing.
Right.
Because that's really where it comes to to managing your water resources, your water storage, that's very critical.
Well, and keeping the germs at bay is the more...
Yes.
Like, the big thing is okay, there's cleanliness, which keeps you smelling good, and then there's sanitizing, which keeps you clean and Now,
healthy. Especially in a grid down scenario, an SHTF scenario, when utilities aren't available, grids down, it's going to be very difficult to keep yourself clean. You're same with the people you interact with. They're going to be struggling with their hygiene as well.
Oh, as a Lyft driver part-time, I can attest to people who struggle with hygiene.
Really?
A lot of people struggle with hygiene. Holy stink. Holy stink.
That.
Like, it is...
It's not just people coming off flights, have been on flights for...
No, just like, for example, this morning I picked up 2 passengers. I took them to where they were going. They reeked.
Well, even you said you don't have to take a shower every day, right? And
right.
Even in the regular world, right?
In the regular world, I shower every other day, usually every 2 to 3 days, depending on what I've done. Like,
if you're working in the office,
if I'm working hard and sweating, I shower every day. Okay, now fast forward into a scenario where it's grid down. You don't have that opportunity. You're gonna stink a bit.
Yeah,
we all are.
Every day. Because you find yourself working harder. Yeah, sweating, and then you're gonna have to do the sponge bath thing.
And you can do wipes. You can wipe the pits in the crack and move on.
In the short term, and that's another thing is in the short term, I think it's a good idea to have paper plates, plastic, silverware, plasticware, so that you don't have to actually do dishes. You can just throw it away. Use your plates
as fuel for the fire.
Reuse your plasticware.
Well, the other thing
as needed.
is when you're eating, a lot of people, we're so wasteful now. Like, there's a lot of food that ends up on the dishes that you end up having to clean off, right?
Yeah, no, that's true.
Now, if you're cleaning off those, rinsing them off by hand, not with water, but scraping off everything that's left. Now, hopefully in a grid down scenario, you realize how important those things are and you don't waste them. So if your kid doesn't finish it, you finish it for them and whatever you need to do.
And you're not going to leave dishes sitting around and letting the food dry on it, because you're going to waste a lot of water trying to get that off of there.
Right.
And get it clean.
So the key being you're doing something with those resources so they don't just go to waste. And then whatever's left over, you're clean. It's easier to clean things if most of the food's off it in the first place. It's not like going to the family dinner where you go to do the dishes and there's piles and piles of caked on leftover half-eaten things you've got to deal with because people are lazy and wasteful.
Yeah, this is where your brain goes once you're practicing and trying these types of things, like washing the laundry, washing the dishes, washing yourself, trying to conserve water. And what we're trying to get into is the difference between washing and sanitizing. Is rinsing things off is not sanitizing it.
Right.
Sanitizing is using a bleach or other methods. There are other methods for
getting
sanitizing.
Water to a boiling temperature, right?
Exactly. Boiling is going to kill bacteria.
Bleach is my favorite, right? Because it's so simple to use and it's simple to store. But using pool shock.
So there's
this is something you taught me about years ago.
Yeah, there's sodium hypochlorite, which is bleach, which is the liquid bleach that you buy to add to your laundry or whatever, to sanitize and clean around the home. That has a very short shelf life, about 6 months before it starts to lose potency. So we store calcium hypochlorite, which is a pool shock. Essentially, that's how you find it. You go to a spa store, a pool store, whatever, and find their calcium hypochlorite. And there are other versions of pool shock. If it doesn't say calcium hypochlorite, it's not going to work, right?
Right.
So
and I just bought all mine on Amazon.
Yeah,
I found the right one, and I just stockpiled it.
And so it's a granule, and it retains its potency because it stays. It's in a powdered form, unlike a liquid form, which is going to lose a lot of potency. So you can store a lot of this very cheaply. And so, say a 1 pound bag of this pool shock, this calcium hypochlorite, will treat up to 10,000, sometimes 20,000 gallons of water. Of pool water, which is not a sanitizing level, right? But it will kill bacteria in the pool.
Yep.
But you would want to use it a little bit higher concentration, cleaning your dishes, cleaning your hands, those types of things. And so that's the difference between just washing and sanitizing. Same with cleaning your counters and such. And I don't want to dwell on this too much, but I think it's important that we talk about it briefly and make yourself aware of this. So if you haven't practiced and tried to live off a gallon a day, that your mind is going to start thinking of other ways to do things more efficiently, and using many different methods, not just the same way you're planning on doing it every single day. All of a sudden, your water's off, your grid's down, and okay, how do I do dishes now? at least you have somewhat of a plan, and you can move forward with that. So
absolutely.
So I think another thing, and I think I'm done talking about the water, the gallon challenge. You think?
Okay, I think so.
Okay, if you guys have any experience of any thoughts or ideas how to be more efficient with water, please feel free to call in 801-254-1640. I wanted to kind of go back a little bit to the 2018 year of opportunity.
Oh, I apologize. I must cut you off early.
It's all good. We're back there. And my question I wanted to pose to you is, okay, we called this year 2018 the year of opportunity. So what is next year going to be like? What should we call next year? If this year's the year of opportunity, what's next year? And I think the obvious answer is, we don't know.
I would call it the year of awareness.
Okay.
Because if you're not aware now, it's going to make you aware. What's coming?
You're going to be compelled to be aware.
You're going to be compelled to be aware.
Okay.
A lot of the preppers that I've talked to have kind of had the similar mindset that next year or the year after, things are going to really start to go awry. Just looking at the militarization of our troops on our own land to go down to the border as a scenario of things that can easily go awry. Looking at the band of quote-unquote refugees that are coming up, that even the United Nations won't classify them as such. They're not fleeing a war-torn area. Like, there's a lot of interesting, I wonder what's going on situations there. Right? There's so many different things at play that I think next year, 2019, is the year of awareness. If you're not aware, you're going to be made to be aware. And you're going to realize that, wow, I missed my opportunity, because in most cases, most people live in a day-to-day bondage scenario. We have to go to work. We have to pay our bills. We have to. There's all these things you have to do, and when you stack all that up, what do you have left to use to get prepared?
And our situations are no different.
Right.
We were working the full-time job, and we are compelled to live. To pay the mortgage, to you have to have a car, you have to have the internet, you have to have these things in order to function nowadays.
But live below your means. Like, start living below your means now, because if you're not doing it now and you get compelled to next year, wow, life's going to suck.
So, I think we're implying that, that 2018, by the end of the year, we'll be out of the year of opportunity. And so, if that's the case, what would you do between now and the end of the year? You got 6 weeks left, approximately. What would you do if you knew the beginning of 2019 meant that you can no longer prepare, that the opportunity wasn't there, whether it's financial, whether the supplies were not available, or whatever it might be? What would you be doing right now if you knew you only had 6 weeks left to prepare?
Identifying my current resources that I have available, identifying my current weaknesses in my system, right? So inventory, current resources I have available, meaning money to go buy additional things. I would fill a few gaps. I'd get a longer range ham radio.
Okay.
I would also get some more boots, some additional pairs of shoes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I usually get those in the winter anyways. Just that's my normal time. So I'm coming up on time to. These things are great.
Yeah, and I think this also comes back to the Christmas idea. Yeah, they're getting a little worn.
They're get a little wear on those, and so it's about time to replace them. But I have a second set backup ready, and that's what I'm going to start wearing next. But then I got to go buy a new backup for that. And
then these will be your work boots,
and then these will be just my around the house winter boots, work boots, stuff like that. But because I like to wear boots, and then during the summer I like to go barefoot as much as possible. Why? Because I want my feet to be agile and robust. Boots for when it's cold. Feet for when it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'd get some more boots, get a little bit more cold weather gear, maybe stock up on a little bit more wood.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have two fireplaces. The other problem is I have a big house, bigger than our needs, but we have a basement rental unit, and when crap hits the fan, they're going to be moving upstairs with us where the fireplaces are. We know that's the case, so that everyone can stay warm. So I would also go get some more sleeping pads. A few more sleeping pads, and everybody's ready. We can always bring the mattresses upstairs from where they are, but then they're always out, and so you don't have a place to play. So if we can do stackable mats, I can stack those out of the way, and kids have a place to play.
Yeah, I think if I knew I only had 6 weeks left to prepare, I think I do have, we do have our year's worth of food storage.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would still probably get more.
Oh, yeah.
I think I would get more of the basics of the essentials because I know that I've got family and friends who are prepared, and I'm not prepared to bug out right now.
Right.
We're sheltering in place, so we're going to need as many resources as possible. So those things that are on sale right now, that not just literally, but figuratively on sale right now, that will be going up in price because of demand when it gets to the point where everybody wants that one item.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably not going to be able to get it. It's going to be a gamble whether you're going to be able to get it or not. I mean, that could be firearms, it could be ammo, it could be water filters, it could be water tanks, all of those different types of things. So my question to you is my, I guess, another challenge to you is, do what it takes these next 6 weeks to be 100% or as close to 100% prepared by the first of the year as you can.
Yeah.
Because we really don't know what the future holds. And those of us who are watching and our eyes are open and we see what's coming, I don't want to say I'm scared, because I'm not. I'm really not scared. I'm scared for others out there who are prepared.
I have I feel sorry for other people.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But I also look at it and say, wow, it's kind of your own fault because you've had all these opportunities. It's I mean, there's so many different parables and stories of things like that. So-and-so didn't get ready for the winter and all the other animals did, but then he went to all those animals and was like, hey, can you help me? Well, no, you wouldn't help me when we needed help. So good luck.
Chicken Little and harvesting the wheat and baking the bread. And
so we need to be sufficient for ourselves. We need to make sure we're taking those initiatives, because the truth is no one else can. And by right, no one else should have to. Mm-hmm. And who says they will even consider it?
And of course, if we're asked for help, of course we'll help, right?
I'll say no.
Yeah?
Depends on who asks.
Well, of course.
And how it's asked.
Yeah, absolutely. That's part of it. Because
a lot of people feel like they are entitled to things that aren't theirs. And so they feel justified that you should help them. You should have to help them. And I'll be honest, if you come to my doorstep that way in a time of need, where my family needs as well, you're asking me to take from my children to feed you because you thought spending your money on movies, on entertainment, on food for good times, and was more important. Mm-hmm. So by pure factor of what's important to me, that's not important to me. So my kids are more important, and I'm going to feed them first.
One of my other thoughts for this November challenge month, kind of go along with Zach and Chris on their 30-day challenge, was also a financial challenge of some sort, right? To really see how little you can get by on a week, within a week. Can you live with what's in your cupboards? And so that was, just a thought in process, is because obviously financial part of it is a big part of being prepared, of having savings, having money set aside and living, like say, within your means. But what challenge can we give ourselves, especially now coming up on the Christmas season when it's supposed to be, and the Thanksgiving season when things are plentiful, and we need to show our gratitude and thanks by giving, but how can we do that without it being financial? How can we do that with being very responsible in the way we eat and the way we live and the way we travel and whatever it might be, without going to excess? It kind of like the same thing with the gallon challenge. We're trying to use a very minimal amount of water and use it very responsibly. We should do the same with our currency as well. I'm not going to say money. I'm saying currency. So that was just another thought. And somehow maybe we figure out a challenge of how we integrate that into November. I know the month's already short. We've got five Fridays in November. We've already squandered one since we weren't here last week.
Yes,
but
we apologize. We had illnesses going on.
Yeah, and life gets in the way, and it's just we feel bad. I feel bad about it, but do what we can. So we appreciate you, your understanding and listening. But so the 2018 year of opportunity. Take advantage, literally, of the next 6 weeks as much as you can. I know that's hard with Christmas and having to spend extra money on gifts and such, but orient those gifts toward...
No, you don't have to. You don't have to. You can
don't.
Repurpose the money you were going to spend on other gifts for gifts of saving.
Absolutely.
right? Gifts that are going to
Gifts
actually
of preparedness.
help. Gifts of preparedness.
Absolutely.
Because, man, those family members are going to love it.
And if you do it right and very thoughtful about what you're giving to each person, what their passions are, their hobbies are, and you give them something that will help them to become more prepared and still aligned with their passions and what they love to do, it's going to be a good gift, and they're going to love it, and it's going to be something that they will have for years and years, which is really the goal, is to buy things that have multiple purposes and can be used over and over again for years,
yes.
and something of quality. So I guess that's my financial challenge to you for November is use your Christmas. Don't get video games.
So see what you can get by on next week. So from now till next Friday, we're going to touch base next Friday. Okay. See what you can get by on and get on without, right?
Especially preparing for the Thanksgiving feasts, right?
That takes out my soda fix. I do these a lot of soda fixes. So it'll be good to see how much better my health is as a result of this. So I usually get a big Coke, or a big 32-ouncer every day almost.
Yeah.
And that will be nice to see gone.
I have pretty much cut those out in the last
You're better man
couple
than
of weeks. So, thanks for listening here. We'll continue the conversation after the break. Listening to Shane and Scott here on Prepper Talk Radio. All right, here we come back to Prepper Talk Radio. Thanks for sticking with us through the commercial breaks and supporting our sponsors. The phone lines have been ringing and been lighting up. Let's go ahead and pick one up and roll the dice here. All right, there you go. Now it's...
Welcome to the radio.
Sorry about all that. We're just...
Okay, so I will reiterate something that I've said before about your program. It is the most valuable program on K-Talk because all the other programs can just complain about the situation that we find ourselves in. You're actually doing something about it, and I think that's about the only thing we can do at this point.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. But I think you're absolutely right. A lot of their programs are politically oriented. And yes, there are things we can do there, but realistically, are there things we can do? I don't think so. I'm not terribly convinced.
I agree, and I think the things that we can do are to take care of ourselves, our family, our friends, our local community, to help them get better prepared, because it's always going to go awry. I mean, just look at California right now for an example, the fires. Was anybody expecting those to happen when they happened and to go out of control like they've gone?
That's crazy.
We cannot just sit back on our laurels and hope that all's going to be well. We have to be preparing. We have to take that initiative. So thank you so much for your content and your wonderful words. We really appreciate you.
So if I could just make an additional comment.
Please, sure.
I liken these times a lot to what Joseph, who was sold into Egypt, did during those 7 years of plenty. And as you have already stated, we are living, I think, still during those 7 years of plenty. It's more like 20 or 50 years or whatever you want to compare it to.
They really did get multiplied.
But you have to we have to realize that food at that, when things get really difficult, food is going to become a very, very precious commodity. So any more food that we can store beyond our own personal needs will just be to our own personal advantage.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it will be currency. And then that's kind of my comment. So I've told myself and my family, there's no such thing as storing too much food because of that.
Exactly.
It may even become a currency of sorts. But that's a good segue into my next question.
Please.
Is what type of currency do you think will be, A, both immediately redeemable, and B, long-term viable?
Well, that is a question
Shane
right
is
up my alley.
About to giggle. He's so excited. So let me segue for a second first and put, well, not segue, but give my input, and then we'll let Shane, because he's the economic studious.
That's what I watch the closest, because I think it's our biggest danger right now.
He's the stalker of all things
that would be
currency and monetary.
Yes.
So I have a slightly different perspective than Shane, but a lot of it is very similar. I believe that the gold and silver standard is going to come back, but immediately it's going to go to a trade and barter system until people realize, oh yeah, we need something that will actually, that's transportable, that's easier to move. That, people will kind of go back to, oh yeah, we can do this with gold and silver, because the dollar, the $20 bill, the $100 bill, the coins in our pockets, those will all become zeros very, very fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is really a complex discussion to talk about, and it could take up an entire segment. But I'll try and address it as quickly as possible. Should we go ahead and let you go, and then we'll just answer this off the line? Or do you have another comment?
Can I just make a really
Yes.
like a 10-second comment?
Go for it.
I think immediately, if you have a lot of cash on hand, because it's been imprinted in our minds to be worth something, I think that's going to give you an immediate advantage, cash.
Yes.
So I'll leave it at that.
All right. Perfect comment. Thank you very much. Sure appreciate that. Yeah, I think he's absolutely right. I think right at first, cash is going to be king.
Well, because digital will be gone.
Exactly.
Cash in
Having
hand is
actually dollar
valuable.
bills, whatever, in your hand for a certain time, and maybe it's a week, maybe it's 2 weeks, maybe it's a couple months.
Maybe it's a day. I don't know.
Exactly.
We don't know. We can't.
Exactly. We have no
It's all
idea.
speculation.
Because the digital side, the electronic side, is going to have issues, and that's where having cash, and that should be part of your plan right now is
Yes.
having cash
Set aside.
set aside for your bills. And I don't want my cash in the bank right now. I mean,
Nope.
there's no reason to keep it in the bank. So, but having too much cash is you're going to lose. You're losing value just through.
Inflation?
Inflation. There's the word I'm looking
I'm like,
for.
what are we talking
It's
about?
frozen up. Through inflation, you're losing a lot of value in holding cash. So a couple months cash, 3, 4, 6 months cash, tops, right? But be prepared for that cash when something does go right to lose all of its value at some point. I think Scott's right. I don't know if the U.S. is going to go on a gold standard, but the world is going to go on a gold standard.
Yes, and that's
Gold
the direction I was
and
going.
silver's going to follow right behind it. So gold and silver will have value. However, we are talking about food storage. Food will be the ultimate barter.
Mm-hmm.
It really will, because most people don't have gold and most people don't have silver. So if you have some gold and silver, you're going to be kings for a short while.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a chicken that lays eggs, that thing is really turning into the goose that lays the golden egg.
Absolutely. Now, again, I think gold and silver will have their time for a short period.
Mm-hmm.
And short, I don't know what that is. A couple of years, who knows?
I think they'll come back to an actual full economic standard in the future.
For a time.
It'll be farther down the road
Mm-hmm.
that it's accepted globally. I think it'll be a short-term solution locally, and then it'll be gone. It'll be go to the food, but then in time, I'm talking like 3-4 years down the road of a big world-changing event.
Mm-hmm.
Then it'll start coming back as an actual viable standard.
And I think if it does come back at all, that will be absolutely true. I think maybe my outlook is a little more grim that way, in that we will go, gold and silver will go crazy, go through the roof, but then a digital currency will come in, whatever that might be, to replace the dollar, but it'll be all digital, mark of the beast, whatever you want to call it, and then gold and silver at a certain point, things will get worse. Gold and silver will be worth nothing at some point,
Right.
other than to adorn the streets, right, of the New Jerusalem. But where gold and silver will not be worth anything because you can't eat it. So having too much cash is bad. Having too much gold and silver, in my opinion, is bad. And it's, for me, I could explain my entire theory of how this works for me, but it won't work for you. So have a certain amount of silver, a certain amount of gold that's going to get you through a couple of years of rough financial times, and maybe to allow you to buy while there's blood in the streets, right? And so that's kind of the way I've staged my savings. I save in silver, I save in gold, and I save in food storage. I save in guns and ammo. I save in tools.
Bullets, beans, and Band-Aids will become currency.
And to balance that all out is not an easy thing to figure out, of how much of each you need.
And I think you just need to choose to be flexible. I mean, that's really what it all comes down to. Is just choose to be flexible and don't become attached
And diversified.
so much to any one thing that when that one thing becomes devalued, that it ruins your
It
whole
hurts
world.
everything. Yep. And same with silver, at some point, unless you can spend it all in time, I think eventually it'll be worth, food will be more valuable. So anyway, there's my 2 bits. Thanks for the call. Great questions. I love talking about this topic. Where were we? We were going we were going to talk about something completely different. I think what I want to do, I had a little tip of the day. And so
Yes.
In kind of the last couple of weeks here, I've been working a lot with my hands, right?
Okay.
Trying to do this gallon challenge, as well as working on my crafts for Christmas and such. So I've been working a lot with my hands. And so 2 things I carry in my EDC kit, I always have with me, that I think would be great for your bug out. Two quick items. One is Carmex. Right, in the little container, not in a tube, right? Because this stuff, it'll melt. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of also looking back to the past to prepare for the future. Carmex has been around since like 1930s or something like that. And for me, it works. For cold sores, I mean, it works. And I try not to use much. I'm not one to use a lot of remedies. I try and let my body take care of itself. But at certain times, you need a little something. And there's really nothing worse than having, chapped lips. And this even works on fingertips as well, really well for me too. So, so having a thing of Carmex in your EDC, I think is great. And I also have a little container called Bag Balm. And most of you probably heard of this. It's from the late 1800s.
1899 is when they started this company, and
it was meant for cow's udders.
Mm-hmm. And for pets.
Yeah, I mean it's really, and these are both petroleum based, which is not fantastic, but. I just have a small, what is this, a 1 ounce container, a jar, and this will go a mile. I mean, literally. And working with my hands, and I think in an SHTF situation, in an emergency, you're going to be working more with your hands, and you're going to find that you're getting calluses, that your hands are hurting, that your fingertips are splitting, and it makes it miserable to work with your hands. So having something like this that you can apply to that real rough skin on your hands when you're working gives a lot of relief. So,
I would say get really good sets of gloves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Wintertime, I do a lot more work with my hands and work outside because getting rid of the leaves, and then there's the snow, and there's all the other stuff. Like, that's, for me, it's like, oh yeah, I really need to get more used to wearing gloves when I'm working on with my hands.
Yeah, just getting a little cut can make everyday chores painful and just not much fun. So,
and an infection can go quickly in an SHTF scenario.
Yeah, especially with lack of hygiene, lack of sanitation like we were talking about. So absolutely gloves. And that's another thing I've been stocking up on as well. And probably what I would get more of before the end of the year.
There you go.
Is gloves, more medical supplies. And
I think I'm good on medical supplies. I've got a couple of the big buckets from Survival Medical. I've got some things from My Medic. I've got 27 obstetric kits. Don't know why we have 27 of those.
You're going to have 27 kids, right?
Well, no, they're for other people. But, I mean, it's just whatever you... I'm going to go out on a limb. Whatever you feel prompted
to
get. And I don't care if you believe in God or not. That's between you and him. But if you feel like there's an urgency to get something, act on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do it. It'll be best for you in the long run. Because... man, it's going to get crazy. It's a guarantee that living on this earth, something's going to go wrong at some point.
And it can be very difficult to figure out what the holes in your preparedness are.
Yeah.
I mean, food storage, that's a little bit easier. You say, okay, I need 2,000 calories per person per day, and so forth. That can be a little bit easier, but how many water filters am I going to need? How many, I mean, I could keep going on and on, but it's a difficult thing to do. So absolutely, you've got to go by what you feel, your gut feeling is, call it prompting, call it, inspiration, whatever it might be. And that's what I really try and do is, okay, where's the hole I need to fill next?
I would say,
and that opportunity will arise.
I would say the next thing is
build your library.
Increase your library of things that are important to know, survival related, but also economic related, law related, because you'll need to reestablish a civilization at some point.
And by the way, these are all excellent Christmas gifts.
Oh, yes.
And, one thing that I wanted to bring up before we run out of time here, and I know I could do this on another show, but, at one point we had a show where we talked about knives, and Scott threw out this couple of brand names, and would you carry this? Yes. Would you carry this? No. One of them was Cold Steel, and I want to do a retraction here on the radio. Cold Steel, I've got a couple of Cold Steel knives. I've got one I carry every day. One I broke, and it was my fault. I was banging on it with I was trying to bash it through a log.
Were you batoning?
I was batoning with it. I broke the thumb stud on it, and they sent me a new one, absolutely free. And not only that, because it took a little while, it was back ordered, they sent me 2 parts absolutely free, and I'm just very happy about it. Now, just like with any manufacturer, I don't like everything they make, right? But Cold Steel is an American company, and I've got I've got this huge called the Raja 2. It's a pocket kukri. It's like 8 inches long. It's huge. And then I carry every day. I've been carrying one that's called the, what is it called here? It's called the Tough Light. Oh, it's just a small utility knife. It's got a flat Warncliffe blade. It's just like a razor blade.
That's comfortable.
And it's a really nice knife there. So there's my plug for for cold steel.
And I recommend them as well. I've got their large kukri. It's my favorite big knife.
And we're not sponsored, by the way. But thanks for listening to us. Thanks for the calls and the comments, and we sure appreciate it. Wish we had more time with you guys today. But check us out on preppertalkradio.com and on Facebook, as well as you can reach us through the K-Talk Media website as well. Take care, buddy. Keep prepping, and get on your challenges.
Hiring, you want qualified candidates fast.